In this lab exercise, we will navigate to Azure Active Directory and understand the various options we have in there. To do so, let's go ahead and log into the portal and then click on Azure Active Directory. If you do not find it in your favorites, you can either go ahead and type Azure Active Directory in this search box here, or you will find Azure Active Directory in this blade. I'll click on Azure AD and then make some space for myself by clicking on this little arrow, and then I've got a larger screen to work with. So right now, my directory name is as good as my email address. So this is my email address without any special characters. So if I move my mouse and hover it over my sign in here, I would see my name, my email address, and then the directory. If you try to compare the email and directory, you will notice that it's just the same, except that it does not have any special characters. So if you have any dots, underscores, hyphens in your email address, they will be removed and it will be kept as a single string, and that string will be your directory. Your domain name will be your directory dot on Microsoft.com, as you see in the pop-up there. Okay, so remember that your directory is your email address without any special characters. Of course, the .com or .net will be removed, and the domain name will be your directory dot on Microsoft.com. So that was about the default directory. Okay, so when you create an account for yourself in Azure, could be a free account or pay as you go, or if you're an enterprise, you create an enterprise account, doesn't matter. You will get a default directory with this standard naming convention. Okay, so when you create users in this Azure Active Directory, the username will be, let's say, Mark at the domain name as shown here. So it will be Mark at keeplearningcloud.hotmail.onmicrosoft.com. That's how it's going to be. Let me show that to you. So if I navigate to the user section, and then I'm going to pick up just any random user, let's say Alex. What's his email address? His email address is alex at the domain name that you saw in this pop-up. Okay, but this really doesn't make sense. What if an organization wants to have their own custom domain? Let's say they have registered a domain called as www.myproducts.com. Maybe you're selling some fancy products on your e-commerce website, so you purchase the domain. So all your employees should have an email address which is custom and specific to you. For example, alex at myproducts.com. How do you do that? Well, what you can do is go back to your default directory, scroll down to the point where you see custom domain names, and then here you have to register your own domain. Okay, so what I did for demonstration purposes is that I purchased a domain called as rainingcloud.de and then added a custom domain. So if you are purchasing a custom domain, let's say www.myproducts.com, you're going to type that here and then add domain. But you're not done yet. You gotta go to your registrar, or the place where you have purchased the website from. Where you can purchase a website from, let's say GoDaddy is a famous registrar and famous provider for domain names, but there are a lot of others like HostGator, BigRock, lots of them are there that's gonna give you a custom domain like that. And at the same time, they'll also give you a place to create your own DNS records. So you gotta go and log into your registrar and create a TXT record or an MX record, either of them. And once you're done, you got to go and click on verify. Remember that it takes about 24 hours for these DNS records to get propagated, and it takes time. So once you have created a record, give it some time for it to settle down. And then maybe the following day or after like 12 or 15 hours, click on verify. And then you should be able to see a green checkbox here. That's what I did. So after registering rainingcloud.de, I added these DNS records in the DNS of my registrar, and after verification, I got a checkbox like this. All right. At this point, I will not be able to verify this because I do not own myproducts.com. But if you have your own custom domain name, or you can go ahead and register these DNS records like these. Okay. Till that point, you will see the status as unverified. What does that mean? It means that any domain name that is verified like this, I would be able to use it and create user accounts with this DNS suffix. For example, mark at rainingcloud.de. I can of course create alex at keeplearningcloud@hotmail.com, but this really doesn't look good on my visiting card, isn't it? This one looks good, looks more professional because this is a custom domain and looks more genuine, right? Okay, so I will be able to create alex at rainingcloud.de. Let me show that to you. So I'll scroll up to the top, click on users, and then click on new user. Okay. Now I've got two options, create user and invite user. Let's go through this first option and I will explain the invite user option later on. Okay. What this means, what is B2B functionality, what is B2C functionality. We'll talk about that later on. But at this time, let's just go ahead and focus on creating a user account in your domain, in your custom domain. All right. So I'm going to type, let's say, alex at, well, you have keeplearninghotmail.com, and that's the default one. But if I click on this drop down menu, I will be able to see my verified domain, which is rainingcloud.de. If you notice, I do not have myproducts.com here, right? I do not have that. That's because I do not own it and I have not verified it, right? So I'm going to select that, and there you go. So alex at rainingcloud.de, I can go ahead and type Alex's name, type the first name as Alex. I'll leave the last name and then we move on to the password section. Got two options. You can let it automatically generate for you or let you create a password for yourself, right? So I'll put my own password there. Make sure that it is strong enough. You have the options to add this user to the group, right? So if you have role-based access controls to a particular application, you can go ahead and start assigning this user to a particular group, okay? But for now, I'll just ignore this because we haven't worked on the group concept yet, so we'll talk about it later. The next option is, do you want to block the sign-in for this user? You got options for yes or no. But you may be thinking, hey, I'm creating a user, but why do I need to block his sign in? Well, this is because you may be staging a user. Staging means that you're creating a user even before the user joins the company. Let's say user will be joining in about 7 days and you are creating this account ahead of time. So when the user actually joins the company, you would then enable it instead of creating it on the day when the user joins. That saves a lot of time. So if the user is joining in about 7 days or 20 days or whatever, I will just block his sign in so nobody can take advantage of this user ID and password. Okay. So I'll leave it to no and let Alex log in. You can specify a usage location as well. So if Alex is joining in, let's say, North America, right? So I can just type and select United States. That way, Alex will not be allowed to log in from any other location. Why is this important? Well, this is important because credentials get compromised, isn't it? Even though an organization may have state-of-the-art security, the credentials are getting compromised because of users' negligence sometimes. User clicks on the spam email and there are a couple of hyperlinks and web pages links inside an email. As soon as the user clicks on that spam mail, the credentials may get compromised, and then the authentication attempts will then start to happen from a different location because the credentials have been compromised and the hacker is in a different geographical region, right? So in order to prevent such kind of authentications or not genuine authentications, we will bind the user's authentication to a particular geographic location. We are just trying to add a layer of defense here in the security, but even after binding it, it really does not mean that we are completely securing the user authentication. As they say, security is never done and it is a constant improvement. All right, that's a different topic. We'll talk about that. But moving on to other two fields, there's job title and department, which are self-explanatory. I will not type anything here, but click on create. All right, this user is created. So I've got Alex at this domain, which is the default domain. It was already there, but then there should be another Alex. So what I'm gonna do is just use the search field and hit Alex, and I got two of them. And the second one is what we created a minute ago, isn't it? So we can pass on the credentials to Alex and he can start using them. So what will happen if the user logs in, and how will the user log in? What I'm gonna do is launch incognito mode I could have done Control Shift N on the keyboard because I'm using a Chrome browser. That's fine. So I'll do that and then navigate to myapps.microsoft.com. This is where Alex can log in with his set of credentials, and all the applications that have been published to him would be visible on the landing page. Let me show that to you how it looks like. So let's log in with Alex at rainingcloud.de. All right, so now Alex is logging in with the corporate credentials. Hitting next, and Alex knows his password because the password is given by the administrator. Do you see something different? If you look at the background, I've added a big smiley in the background, right? How did that happen? Well, I've added a smiley, but it could be anything. It could be your corporate wallpaper that is representing your own branding and image of the company, right? So if rainingcloud.de has its own branding, its own wallpaper and a logo, that can be displayed in the background. Okay, I'll show you how that looks like in a minute. As soon as we are done with this particular topic, let Alex log in. What do you think must happen now? Alex must be prompted to change the password, isn't it? Well, looks like I didn't type the password correctly, but let's see. There you go. So Alex is now prompted to change his password because Alex is logging in for the first time, isn't it? So there are two people who knows the Alex password, right? Which is not good. One is the admin himself and Alex. So I will type the current password and give a new password as well. Okay, and then sign in. Oh, I'm in a hurry. Fat fingers. Okay, it still says the password does not match, but this should have given you an opportunity to see some other text here. Happy. So this is a branding text as well. So you can write something like no unauthorized access to raining cloud systems or something like that, right? So this is a banner text that can be written under the branding section. So let me quickly change these passwords so that we can see the landing page. All right, the password is changed and now Alex is being redirected to the landing page. Okay, so if Alex would like to access his applications, this is where he needs to go. Right now, there are no applications assigned to Alex, and we'll see how those applications can be assigned to users via groups, etc. So the objective here is to tell you that user accounts can be created on the fly. You can go ahead and create your own custom domains and let it get verified. And it's very easy to achieve that single sign-on experience without losing the security benefits that Azure Active Directory offers. In the next lab, let's take a look at few more features of Azure AD, including self-service password reset, multi-factor authentication, creating and managing groups, and some playing around with PowerShell to create users as well. Hopefully this has been informative to you. Thank you.